In a courtroom filled with tension, one officer overstepped his bounds, thinking he could control the trial. But one judge had other plans and shut him down instantly. Courtrooms are meant for justice, not power plays. Yet, sometimes, authority clashes in ways no one expects. This is the story of one such confrontation, where a police officer's overreach met the full force of the law, delivered by the judge in the room. It began as a routine hearing, or so it seemed. Tensions were simmering beneath the surface. The officer, frustrated by delays and procedural challenges, believed his presence could influence the courtroom. With a firm voice, he tried to assert control, speaking over the proceedings and challenging the pace of the trial. The murmurs of the courtroom grew, and a sense of unease settled over everyone present. The judge, known for her unwavering authority, immediately recognized what was happening. She raised her hand, and the room fell silent. The officer paused, realizing he may have crossed a line. With calm but unmistakable authority, she called him out, reminding everyone in the room that no one, not even those sworn to uphold the law, could overstep the court's authority. A single gavel strike echoed through the courtroom, restoring order instantly. The officer stepped back, silent and humbled, while the lawyers and audience exchanged relieved glances. What could have been chaos became a powerful lesson. Respect for the law is absolute, and no badge grants immunity from it. By the time the hearing resumed, calm had returned. The judge continued with her work, and the officer sat quietly, the tension in his shoulders slowly easing. In that courtroom, power was earned through law, not force. And on that day, the scales of justice tipped firmly in favor of authority and reason. It all began during a high-profile trial. The courtroom was filled with anticipation, whispers passing quickly among the spectators. Tensions were already high, with every eye fixed on the proceedings. The officer, stationed near the front, grew visibly frustrated as the trial dragged on. Every objection, every procedural delay seemed to test his patience. Unable to contain himself, he began to assert control. He interrupted the lawyers mid-sentence, questioning their motives and the pace of the trial. His voice, firm and commanding, carried across the courtroom, demanding attention where it wasn't his to take. The murmurs of confusion and disapproval rippled through the audience. Lawyers exchanged uneasy glances, and even the jurors stiffened in their seats, sensing that this was no ordinary disruption. The officer's attempts at control grew bolder. He leaned forward, questioning witnesses before the judge could call on them, and issued directions that overstepped his authority. It was clear he believed his position allowed him to influence the court, but in doing so, he was stepping into dangerous territory. The courtroom had become a stage for a silent battle, one between the officer's assertion of power and the rule of law that governed every action within those walls. No one spoke, but the tension was palpable, waiting for the moment when authority would finally confront authority. The judge, known for her no-nonsense courtroom demeanor, immediately recognized the breach. Her eyes narrowed, cutting through the tension like a blade. Without hesitation, she leaned forward on the bench and addressed the officer directly. Her voice was calm but carried an undeniable authority that filled the entire courtroom. "Officer," she said, her tone firm and unyielding, "this is a court of law. Every person in this room is bound by its rules. No one is above the court, not even those sworn to uphold the law." The officer froze, the weight of her words sinking in. For the first time, he realized that his attempts to control the proceedings were not only inappropriate but unacceptable. A silence fell over the courtroom, thick and heavy, as everyone watched the confrontation unfold. Even the lawyers paused, unsure of what would happen next. The judge continued, her gaze unwavering. Courtroom decorum is not optional. Authority here is earned through respect for the law, not through intimidation or force. Step back and allow the process to proceed. The officer slowly straightened and stepped back, a mix of embarrassment and resignation on his face. The murmurs of the courtroom softened, replaced by a sense of relief. Order had been restored, and the balance of authority made perfectly clear. In that moment, it was undeniable. The court's power was absolute, and any attempt to overstep it would meet with consequences, swift, firm, and unarguable. The courtroom fell into a tense silence. The officer, now subdued, took his seat quietly, his earlier confidence replaced by a careful restraint. The lawyers exchanged relieved glances, and even the jurors seemed to exhale collectively, as if the room itself had been holding its breath. The judge returned to her papers, reviewing the documents with the same calm precision that had defined her entire career. Yet, the message had been made clear: authority in the courtroom is earned through law, not force. The trial continued, and every participant was reminded of the delicate balance between power and justice. Outside the courtroom, whispers of the incident spread quickly. Many would later recall that day not for the trial itself, but for the moment when a single gavel strike reminded everyone present of the true weight of the law. It was a lesson in humility, respect, and the importance of boundaries, even for those sworn to protect it. By the end of the session, calm had fully returned. The officer remained attentive, no longer trying to dominate the proceedings. The judge presided with unwavering authority, ensuring that justice proceeded without disruption. In that courtroom, the scales had been balanced once more, and it was clear to all: respect for the law is absolute, and in its presence, even those in uniform must bow. That day, the courtroom had witnessed more than a trial. It had witnessed the quiet but undeniable triumph of justice over intimidation, and the reminder that authority, when unchecked, can always be held accountable.